Hey guys, how are you doing? Crazy day today. So I had a doctor's appointment and then coming home on the highway was just crazy because of course it's raining. So there was that too. And then I get here. My camera's paused. Hopefully my live is still playing. It says it is. So I get here and then I have a new phone, so I'm trying to figure out those kind of settings and getting everything set up there. And I was like, oh man, it's time for the live. So I needed to get on real quick. Just trying to keep my screen on. Here we go. Okay. So I hope everybody's doing good this week. I guess I'm going to go with a frozen screen. I hope this is working. Anyway, my name is Jayce and Anaya. I am owner and accountant of Hooked Accounting Services, and I have about 5+ years in the accounting field, helping business owners just keep up with their books, stay compliant, and understand their numbers, and so that we can take a look and see how to grow your profits. But this week I just wanted to kind of touch base on payroll. We all, when we have a job where we work for a company, we know that we fill out the new hire paperwork, we go and do our job, we do the work right, and then hopefully come payday that deposit is in our bank account. So, oh goodness, the volume's on now. I went from Apple to Android, so I'm just trying to figure it all out, but I think it's going to help me a lot. So back to payroll, we anticipate that payroll check. But then when we become business owners, our goal is to always bring in income, pay ourselves so that we can enjoy our families, so that we can have the lifestyle that we want, be able to get up and take our kids to Disney if we feel like it. But a lot of times business owners, once they get started, they get so engrossed in providing the best service to their client and making sure that their clients are taken care of, that their business and personal needs are put to the back burner. That's why maybe you that's why you may be behind on your bookkeeping as well. So payroll is something we often don't think about how to set up and what is required. Most business owners, if you're filing a business return, you'll be either an SCorp or a C corporation. Let me just turn the light on. Okay, let's try this. You'll either be an SCorp or C corporation, and what that entails is that you have a business structure. So the IRS assumes that you are doing work for the business, right? You're out there servicing your clients, you're managing your practice or your company. So you should be pulling and showing a reasonable salary with payroll. That's not just taking distributions or taking money out of the account when you need it. It's actually showing payroll and paying employment tax. So an S corporation versus C corporation, just briefly, a C corp is just a corporation. An S corporation, the C corp, you pay corporate taxes. Where the S corporation, you don't pay corporate taxes. The income is picked up through your personal return, but it has all the other benefits of being a corporation. So with either one of those options, you're required to show a reasonable salary. So with that being said, if you are an S or C corporation, which I'm assuming most of you are, you're going to want to set up payroll for yourself and for employees if you have employees. The first things you need to do to set up payroll is to set up accounts to file and remit the taxes for your payroll. You're going to need usually you're going to need a federal, state, and depending on what state you live in, local tax accounts. So EFTPS is the site to remit payroll tax deposits. That'll be for like your federal withholding, the Social Security, Medicare, and then the federal unemployment tax. And then there's also, let's use state of Florida for an example. The Florida Department of Revenue, you would set up an account with them to have a reemployment tax number. So I get the question a lot of times, why am I paying unemployment tax? I'm not collecting unemployment. And that is a very good question. So unemployment isn't just there because it's there to help us. It's there because the funding is put in place so that we can claim unemployment if, God forbid, we do get laid off or terminated, or for during like COVID where they extended the unemployment criteria to cover people while we were, stuck at home not being able to go anywhere. In order to do that, that money has to come from somewhere. So employers pay an unemployment tax to grow that fund. So the unemployment tax is accumulated from employers paying in that tax every quarter through payroll. So you'll need an account for that. And then some states, such as like California, Pennsylvania, each local county or even municipality within a county requires an additional tax. Thankfully in Florida we don't have to worry about that. The only thing we have for state is state unemployment. Some states, such as Georgia and other states, you have to pay in not only federal withholding income tax, but also state income tax withholding. That prepares you for your tax liability at the end of the year. So once we set up the payroll accounts, then the next thing we need to think about is how much of a salary should you show. The easiest way to determine a salary is to do a Google search with your occupation and in your location. For me, it'd be like Broward County, and you would determine from there, from a Google search, what is the current most reasonable salary for that position in that location. Also, hopefully you're having your bookkeeping done up to date and you have your CPA who reviews your tax work at the end of the year. They can also review how your business is performing, compare it to and evaluate it with your tax outcome for the prior year, and give you a good idea of what salary they think you should be showing. And also they can increase your federal withholding based on the tax liability they estimate to be due. That way you're paying in throughout the year and you don't have this one big tax bill at the end. Usually federal withholding, especially for employees, is based off a W-4 form, which uses items such as your filing status, whether you're single or married, head of household, and if you have any dependents. That W-4 form does go in accordance with the Circular E, which is a publication by the IRS that has charts that show, okay, with this salary, this pay frequency, this is the amount of withholding that should be taken. CPAs, often we can override that with the shareholders to show a higher federal withholding or a lower federal withholding based on what we estimate you to pay at the end of the year. So that's just how we determine the salary and the withholding you should be taking. Social Security and Medicare are required for any payroll that is filed. So 6.2% of your paycheck goes to Social Security. 1.45% of your paycheck goes to Medicare. So these two taxes also have to be matched by the employer. So your business will also pay in 6.2% of Social Security and 1.45% of Medicare. As most of us know, Social Security and Medicare are retirement benefits. So another reason, not only because the IRS says you should have a payroll, it's also important to have a payroll because I hope eventually one day you want to retire, right? That's what we all hope to do. So if we don't pay into Social Security and Medicare while we're working for ourselves, we may never have that built up amount to collect when we get retirement age. The more you pay in, there's an algorithm Social Security uses to determine how much you get in retirement benefits when that time comes. It's important to file payroll. The next thing to determine is your pay frequency. With employees, it's usually weekly, semi-weekly, monthly or bi-weekly. So that's usually the pay frequency for employees. You can obtain any of those pay frequencies as a shareholder. If you have employees, it's usually recommended that you follow their pay frequency or you have a monthly payroll for yourself. But if it's just you on payroll, you can just do payroll on a quarterly basis. That's up to you. It is doable, but it is recommended that you show a paycheck at least quarterly. So once we do that, it's important to calculate your taxes, make sure we're including the Social Security and Medicare, both the employer and the employee matches. We add in our federal withholding, and then we also have to consider the federal and state unemployment tax. Those two taxes are based on the first $7,000 of wages annually per employee. So for the federal unemployment, it's 6% of the $7,000, and then the state unemployment varies by rate depending on how long you've been in business, if you've had any employee turnover. So it all varies on that. The highest amount for Florida for state unemployment is, I believe, $189 a year. And then the largest, actually the tax that would be due on $7,000 per employee for the federal would be $42 a year. So it's not a lot. It's just important that we make those payments or those tax deposits and make them timely so that the money is there and they're not coming after you because you didn't remit the tax. So getting to remitting taxes, you to pay in payroll taxes depends on what the IRS requests. Again, that depends on how long you've been doing payroll, also how much you're doing payroll. So usually the IRS will start you out at a monthly pay frequency or for remitting taxes, and that has to be paid in by the 15th of the month following the payroll. So your payroll tax, if you're on a monthly basis, will accumulate, let's say for the month of September, but your deposit isn't due until October 15th. If you pay in over a certain amount of taxes in a look-back period, which is a year time span, then they up you and you have to make payroll taxes bi-weekly. So every other time, like 3 days after you make a payroll check, then you'll have to remit your taxes within those next 3 days. So again, that's only after you've met a certain amount of payroll taxes deposited. But typically it's held at the monthly. You can do quarterly if it's under $240, if it's under $2,500 in a month, you can make that deposit quarterly. If it goes above that, you can make the quarterly deposit, but it has to be by the 15th of the month following the quarter. So for July through September, if you only have $2,500 in federal and payroll taxes due, you can make that by October 15th, but not by October 31st. That would be considered late. So besides just paying in the taxes timely, you also have to file returns both with the state and the IRS regarding payroll. So for the state of Florida, you have the RT6, which is the reemployment tax return that goes to the state, and then you also have your IRS Form 941 that's done quarterly. At the end of the year, you file a Form 940 for reemployment tax for the IRS for federal, and then of course your W-2 at the end of the year that summarizes all the payroll you received for the year, the amount you've withheld, so that your CPA can file your tax return before April 15th of the following year. So there's a lot to do with payroll. There is a lot of numbers, a lot of varying factors. There's a lot of deadlines within payroll, and the IRS does not play around with payroll. If you miss your tax deposits, if you don't remit your payments, they will forever come after you. You can close your business, they'll still want to collect those taxes from you because your employees, yourself, you're depending on those retirement benefits. You're depending on that money and federal withholding put into the IRS so that that liability is paid. So they do not play with payroll. It is very time sensitive, but it's very important. Like I said, everyone wants to retire one day, so you need to do this for yourself. Make sure that your employees are getting paid timely, taxes are done. If you don't understand any of what I said, and it's like, where do I even begin? How do I even articulate this? How do I keep up with more deadlines? There are plenty of people to help you. Your CPA office may offer payroll services. There are payroll services such as ADP, Paychex, and others out there. QuickBooks Online offers an automated payroll service. If you're interested, I do offer payroll services. I have quite a bit of experience doing Florida payroll and can help you there. If you have a bookkeeper, they may be able to help you with payroll. I know I do the bookkeeping with accounting analysis, and I also cover payroll, so I can help you kind of in all aspects and just wrap it all in one bundle. But I think that's pretty much the gist of payroll and kind of what to think about as a shareholder to make sure you're covered, your employees are covered, and your business is covered. So if you have any questions or would like to find out maybe if I can help you with your bookkeeping and payroll services, I'd be happy to jump on a call with you. So just drop a comment in the comments below. Just say payroll. I'll be happy to reach out to you. We'll get a call scheduled. You can also visit my business page here on Facebook. It's Hooked Accounting Services LLC. This video, all of my contact information, and all of my previous content is on that page as well. So I don't see any questions. I hope this was helpful to you or get you spurred to ask some questions about, am I doing payroll? Am I doing payroll correctly? Should I be doing payroll? And again, if you need anything, just reach out and I'll be here to help you. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys here next week. Bye.